Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to thank the honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, as highlighted in the Business Committee, there's no such thing as a policy when it comes to government regarding the running of the correction services, nor is there a policy by the Commissioner of Corrections. He cannot run policies. He actually goes by the law. And I would have thought the honourable member would have actually looked at the law. If you look at the Correction Services Act, sir, and I'd like to take the honourable member through the Act itself, sir. It says the Commissioner of Corrections Services, Fiji Corrections Services, the head of the Fiji Corrections Service shall be the Commissioner of Fiji Corrections Service, who shall, subject to the orders and directions of the Minister, shall administrative and command and direction of all officers of the Corrections Service in accordance with the provision of this Act. B, for the purpose of exercising any of the powers provided for by this Act, have the power to make orders for observance by corrections officers and prisoners, which shall be known as the Commissioner's orders. Have control of all prisoners and may allocate them to such prisons as he or she sees fit. Have the power to designate from time to time the classification, purpose and function of any prison. And E, have the power to make delegations of the Commissioner's authority to any officer by written instrument of delegation. It of course goes on further to talk about other officers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the law also states that under the regulations itself, the various provisions pertaining to what the Commissioner of Corrections actually can do, sir. The Commissioner, of course, shall have the power to review all proceedings heard by any supervisor or senior officer under these regulations. In other words, should there be hearing, they do have conduct internal hearings within the prison itself, sir. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, there's schemes for early release, which the Commissioner of Corrections actually can do. If, for example, in addition to any requirement for eligibility of early release provided for in the Act, a prisoner may meet the following criteria to be considered for early release. A prisoner must have a record of good behaviour and prison work. The prisoner must demonstrate a desire and ability to return to the community as a law-abiding citizen. The prisoner should have availed himself or herself of opportunities offered during the term of imprisonment aimed at rehabilitation and equipping the prisoner for a productive life upon their release. Now, of course, you've got schemes for short-term release. Mr. Speaker, sir, further on, is provided for in the law, and I'm reading, as you can see, I'm reading from the laws of Fiji, sir. We have what we call prison rehabilitation objective. We have programs in prison to allow rehabilitative environment, Mr. Speaker, sir. And of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, for example, it says programs in prison to allow rehabilitative environment. The prison environment should encourage positive changes in behavior and attitude, provide good social examples, challenge offending behavior and promote self-esteem, encourage prisoners to take responsibility for their actions, and promote prisoner self-control. Mr. Speaker, sir, prisoner classification must be undertaken in accordance with the Commissioner's Order number 011. It says, upon admission, each prisoner must be assessed for program needs with particular regard to the offence committed and regularly assessed through the classification process. All sentenced prisoners must be provided with the opportunity to participate in programs including drug and alcohol, parenting, personal hygiene, sports and recreation, and spiritual development, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, it does also say that the Commissioner of Prisons, under these orders, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, can allow the prisoners to participate in sporting activities too. These are all provided for, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'd like to highlight to the honourable member under the orders that's actually stipulated in the Act. It's all available there, and I urge the honourable member to read the actual law itself, where these guidelines, of course, cannot be breached, but actually are adhered to. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, it does go on to also say, Mr. Speaker, sir, the prisoners can participate, the Commissioner of Prisons can also reach out, for example, to the members in the community, the Turangani Koras, etc., to see how people can fit in when they want to come back to the community. We have prisoners, for example, who choose to go out and do cane cutting, sir, as we've seen. We also have, for example, Jane Ricketts, who's done wonderful work where they have an art gallery out in Corovo. They go out and do art paintings. They intermingle with the ships, the cruise liners that used to come. They mix around with the tourists that used to come. They buy their paintings, etc. So there's a number of schemes, sir, that's available. Similarly, sir, for example, in schemes for short-term release, it does also say, the Commissioner may approve the short-term release of a prisoner into the care and supervision of traditional chiefs and other community leaders upon being satisfied that, A, the traditional chiefs or community leaders are willing to assume responsibility of the care and supervision of the prisoner. The traditional chiefs or community leaders are capable of making a contribution to the rehabilitation of the prisoner. Any condition imposed by the Commissioner in relation to the release of the prisoner shall be complied with. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the with the yellow ribbon project, and also with the orders that's been put in the Gazette, sir, we have seen the rate of recidivism in Fiji drop tremendously. At one point in time, sir, the rate of recidivism in Fiji was 50% a few years back. In other words, the prisoners, people who went to prison, 50% of them used to go back. It was like a revolving door. That's what used to happen. I remember very clearly, sir, because the lack of these types of rehabilitative functions and indeed policies through the orders implemented through the correction services, the rate of recidivism was very high. I have the rate of recidivism, Mr. Speaker, sir, here. In 2009, it was 7.9%. 2010, 5.91%. 2011, 3%. 2012, 6.34%. 2013, 5.7%. 2014, 3.56%. 2015, 5.19%. From the new financial year, August 2016 to July 2017, 4.78%. 1.5% the following year. 2.5%, 1.7%, 1.06% currently. This essentially, Mr. Speaker, sir, indicates that the combination of ensuring that people who are to serve their sentences are actually serving their sentences, in conjunction with the blue ribbon program, yellow ribbon program, sir, together with the various orders of the Commissioner of Prisons, the corrections, in fact, Mr. Speaker, so is working well in a holistic manner to ensure that the rate of recidivism drops in Fiji. Personally, sir, I've been to workshops being held at the National Stadium where they invited actual employers, and you had all of these prisoners actually who had different trade skill sets. And over there, in that particular meeting, people were actually given jobs. So people coming out knew that actually they had a job. The Commissioner of Prison or Corrections knew that this person could actually be released into the community. And we've seen many of them, of course, a huge percentage, of course, now never coming back to the prison system. So in terms of, this is a bit of additional information for the member because I think she's kind of very monofocused. The point of the matter, sir, is that the powers exist within the Corrections Act itself. Powers exist within the subsidiary legislation for the Commissioner of Corrections to be able to carry out these sorts of measures where he believes or she believes, whoever is the Commissioner, that the rehabilitation of the prisoner can actually take place. Thank you, sir.